Alright guys, so today I'm gonna be giving you guys some advice, and just some tips on memoirum in general. Not only how to obtain memoirum, but of course how to spend your memoirum and how to absolutely greatly benefit yourself when using it. The pilot skills and everything in between. So, how to obtain memoirum? There are 3 ways currently. Technically 4 if you are not free to play. There are of course endless ways, but mostly for the free to play and low spender people. For one, of course, your daily missions and tasks, where you can acquire 30 memoriam for about 2 to 3 games capture. If you're really good, you could get all this in just a single match, and you could get 30 memoriam for capturing that amount of beacons. And of course, there's also these specials. These specials are ads where you can gather resources for free, of course, with the nature of watching ads. So you can get not only 30 daily, you can get 20 daily from here. And on weekends, you actually get a second one where I think you obtain another 20 to 30 memoriam. But on average, you will be getting 50 daily from here. And lastly, of course, clan rewards. As you can see here, my clan, which is a free-to-play clan, any free-to-play players looking for a clan, of course we welcome you here. Just to make sure, you need to be active, need to be willing to commit. Other than that, everybody's chill here. And if you have any advice, hit me up, let me know. So, 30 memoriam in the memoriam laboratory. Of course, as you should note, this is a max memoriam laboratory. As you can see here, it says level 5. So it is the maximum you could get at a high level clan. So you could get a daily income of 30 at a capacity of 90, which is 3 days. So every day you can pretty much you can on average receive 80 memoriam just on a daily basis alone, which while it might not sound much at first, can pretty much gather you up to 800 every 10 days or a week and a half. So in a week and a half of consistent grinding, every day, daily could get you 800 memoriam in 10 days or a week and a half. Now, how to spend your memoriam? Of course, save it up, budget, and actually focus on what you need. Only focus on your main hangar. I wouldn't really try putting your memoriam into other robots if you're not really going to invest it or if you might regret it later. So, one thing you should definitely do, as all players should do, unfortunately not many players are patient, is you should save up your memoriam, as you can see I have done here. And on discount days like this, such as it's not exactly this, but on days like this, when there is either a 20%, a 25%, and sometimes, very rarely, a 40% discount, I would suggest you wait till the 40%. That is when you spend all of your memoriam onto pilot skills. Now, when it comes to pilot skills, when it comes to any and all robots, since they are all built different, you always need to make and check note of its synergy. So, for all and any robots with built-in weapons, one certain must need pilot skill is the destroyer pilot skill, because of course that synergizes with your built-in weapon or built-in ability. That can greatly benefit you a lot. So for example, on Achikochi here, destroyer, it deals increased ability damage, which can do quite a lot, as I have noticed, and just greatly benefits you. It gives you an edge over your opponents and just really helps. So, when acquiring these skills, my honest true advice: first off, all your pilots, whether you're free to play or not, all your pilots must only go to level 30 first, because honestly, as once you have reached there, you're not really going to need any other pilot skills, simply because it's too expensive, of course. not until later. Also, the main thing you need to do is use your memoirum on your Titan pilot. Your Titan pilot should be maxed or almost maxed first before you even think about putting your pilots past level 30. That being said, all of them should be at least about level 20 to 30 for your regular pilots. Now, when it comes to the certain exact pilot skills they need, as I've said, if they have a built-in weapon, Destroyer would be one of them. Now, when changing a skill or acquiring a skill, as I was gonna say right now, what you want to do, whether you want to train it in the skill because it's horrible, or you don't want it, or it doesn't fit, or whatever the reason may be, at first choose the random skill. The main reason why I say this is because if you choose manually to spend all 750 memoirum on a certain skill you want, while you might get what you want, it will not be upgraded. It will be grayed out, meaning it will be at the first basic stage, meaning you will still have to upgrade it with much more memoirum. As at least, while it will be a risk, instead of spending 750, let's say for example, let's say you only have basic pilots, right? Okay, let's go to the Freedom Skyrace. You only have a level 10 DCS pilot. It has a decent mechanic skill. Let's say that's not the one you want. It's only 100 for a random skill. 100 for a random skill. While I will get into these two right now, if you somehow already have these or you don't want those for whatever reason, I would suggest the random roll skill. Or not the random roll skill. To randomly roll for 100 every time until your pilot is level 30. Because if you spend the 750, you will not be doing yourself a favor. Out of all 7 tries that you can roll, the thing that players forget is when you're changing a skill and you choose the random skill option and you're rolling, you have a pretty decent chance to get already highly leveled up skills. Meaning, when you randomly roll, you have a chance to get purple tier, blue tier, or yellow tier pilot skills already maxed. Which is very, very not only time saving, but effort saving, saves you resources. I would only, as like I just said, only randomly skill when they're at least up to level 30. Anything past level 30, you do not want to randomly skill, because then it will not be worth it. Because right now, let's say you use a random skill 2 times, you're only using about 600 memoirum. That is 150 less than manually changing it just for a basic tier 1 skill. Rolls with the 2 rules. Example, let's see here. In fact, I'm actually going to go ahead and out of my way, I'm going to go ahead and actually use some of my memoirum just to show you guys. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. You need to take that in mind. As you saw up there while it was rolling. And actually, I am going to choose this one. It's a decent skill, while there are actually better weapon damage, whatever it's called, better damage pilot skills. I think this one suits more and synergizes more with the meter. So, as you saw earlier, when we were rolling, you saw there's a sudden blue or tier 2 skill that we passed by. It's not guaranteed, but at least with the 2 rolls, you have honestly just a much higher chance of getting, at least a higher tier pilot skill, other than manually changing it and getting a basic skill. Now, with that being said, if your robot is equipped or has the available option of having one of these 2 purple tier max pilot skills, the only time I would say you really want to manually choose a pilot skill if it's at a low level, if your pilot is at level 30 or lower, that's when you use your memoirum to manually choose one of these pilot skills like foolhardy quartermaster. Very recommended. Probably one of the best pilot skills you can have. Recharges an active module. You know where this would be extremely useful on? Angler and Ravana. Why? Because when running synergized modules, for example, the phase shift, synergizes Ravana's ability of transcendence quite a lot. It helps you to survive longer, to dodge and clear negative effects more. Not only does it synergize with the art of pilot skill, main additional charge skill a lot more, it just overall helps you to survive more. As you can see here, we also have the clear survivor skill. It is also probably the best pilot skill you can have on robots with certain abilities such as the Ravana and the Angler. What this does is it triggers another ability charge once you reach 50% HP. So what that means is you can have 3 basic charges, a 4th charge, and 2 phase shifts if you use them right. And then other skills like this, like Bounty Hunter, useless. 5 seconds, that is useless. Unless you're in PvE, that's the only time skills like that's the only time they could be properly used. So for Ravana, we would definitely want to change this. So, I'm not going to change it right now because I'm still saving Memoirum for my Titan pilot. But, as I've said, stuff like this, foolhardy quartermaster, very useful. Clever survival, very useful. Both recommended. The other 2 must-have pilot skills you must have on robots, not just Ravana or Angler, is the Dodger and Modules Expert. These skills will definitely increase your gameplay mechanics. All active modules, or Dodger, what that does, when you choose a module that helps you out, for example, like healing, you want to always make sure it's the ones that last the longest or will greatly benefit you. For example, Dodger, if I remember correctly, Dodger, it recharges, Dodger, right here. All active modules recharge faster. Modules Expert, they last longer. So not only does that mean if you're in need of a charge and it's just not quite there, if you have that skill, it will come a lot sooner. And, for example, for the other skill, it will make them last longer. So as you can see here, ability duration 3 seconds. But with that skill, it can last up to about 5 seconds, which I would say will greatly impact you. You might not think it might, but when it comes to evading or assassination or brawling, it can definitely help you out a lot. So, that is something to keep in mind. It synergizes with your modules, it synergizes with your robot. My main advice is, when you pick pilot skills, make sure something you won't regret, and something that synergizes with your robots. Something that synergizes with your drone. Something that synergizes overall. So, for example, Roadhog, Ravana has increased speed. When you go into Transcendence mode, you also gather an additional bonus, a speed bonus. Now, paired with Roadhog, you will be flying across the map. Not literally flying, I just mean you will be really fast, because both of these greatly synergize with the Ravana. Ravana is already a pretty speedy robot. Clever survivor. Let's say there's a, Crisis Reaper, Crisis Gauss, any robot with sniping weapons. Use it correctly, time it. Let's say you're about at 60%. You're going to want to use your ability. Then, as you start to take damage, your clear survivor will kick in. You need to pay attention to that and use it as fast as possible. So, as I mentioned, the 4 pilot skills, if they're available on your robot, the ones you want to use: Foolhardy Quartermaster, Clever Survivor, Dodger, and Modules Expert. If you are F2P, as much as Quartermaster might seem good, depending on your playstyle, I wouldn't necessarily use it unless your robots are very, very low level. The reason I say that is honestly because if you're smart enough with your Not only just because of the other pilot skills synergizing, but if you're honestly smart enough with your gameplay and gameplay mechanics and playstyle to save your ability or your modules for a certain timing, you won't really need to use them that much. Therefore, also saving your resources. That's also where this Dodger and Modules Expert comes in hand, because if it lasts longer, you won't really need to use it as much. Other skills, of course, as you guys should take in, of course, all robots are different. Some are meant for speed, some are meant for brawling, some are meant for damage, some are meant to just tank. So, for example, the Revenant here, we have to find pilot skills that synergize with defense points, with additional health pool, because this Revenant is a very tanky robot, one of the highest HP pools in the game. Also has great shield durability. Again, modules also must greatly synergize with the robot at its pilot skill. The main pilot skill, it repairs some of its durability at the end of the ability. The extent of the repair depends on the damage dealt in the ability. So, what that means is, as much damage as we do while we were in our ability, when we teleport, while it's counting down in our teleport, that is the 12% is the amount it will heal from that damage. So, the type of pilot skills I would want then for my Remnant, since it's also tanky, is not Engine Expert or not Stubborn Speedster. I unfortunately rolled unlucky with those. What we want, Raider Gunsmith is alright, since we're always playing Beacon Rush. But other synergized pilot skills we want are, guess what? Death Survivor, Full-Hearted Quartermaster. I wouldn't necessarily use Dodger or Modules Expert all the time, again, because it depends on your playstyle. Depends on what module, of course, you're also using. Not only does Dodger and the Full-Hearted Quartermaster apply to Phase Shift, it applies to healing, it applies to Quantum Radar, Shield Breaker, things you need to take note of. So, pilot skills that would greatly synergize with everything I said here is, I guess, for example, Defense Expert, Ferocious Guardian. If you're doing more increased weapon damage while your ability is active, that quite directly synergizes with the main pilot skill of your pilot. That means after your ability is done, you will heal even more, which synergizes not only with your robot, but with its repair amp. Invulnerable Raider, Adamant Guardian, Stubborn Warrior. Customization of them, decent. Mine wouldn't really, it depends on what you want to do with that. Other things, upon activating the ability, Wonder Worker, also pretty great. I wouldn't really lean into the mechanic, as the Revenant already has pretty other great ways of healing. Of course, durability, as you can see here. Now, ones you want to avoid, pilot skills you want to avoid are, of course, pilot skills that don't synergize or are not as useful. So, while Master Gunsmith is great, there are greater pilot skills you can use. For example, Adamant Gunsmith and Survivor. I am definitely putting Survivor because I do not need that much speed on my Remnant, as it literally teleports, so speed is not really an issue here. You trade off speed for more weapon damage, so that will greatly impact and benefit you during your ability, and you will heal more. When it comes to Daredevil and Traditionalist, those are for different playstyles. I would not use that if you need to use your ability, because of course they will cancel. You will disable your ability if you put these pilot skills. So something to avoid if you're looking into the playstyle where you need to use your ability. So stuff like Bounty Hunter, not needed. 5 seconds will not benefit you at all. Wise Opportunist will not benefit you. Cunning will not. Armor Expert, it might, but I would get the more important skills first to see if you even have enough space for that. So, Cautious Pilot, trade off my speed for even more durability, that is a must. Let's see. Customization of that, we can also add that one, Stubborn Warrior, Adamant Garden, Invulnerable Raider, Defense Expert, Ferocious Guardian, things like that you want to take note of. Every robot is different, so you have to pay attention to what pilot skills synergize with said robot, drone, and modules. So in summary, you need to make sure it's something you don't regret, something that will actually greatly benefit and be useful to your robot, and something that just synergizes overall. Same thing with Titan pilots. It has to synergize. If you are a damage dealer, then you need damage skills. If you are a tank, you add tank skills. Not all of them and not all the time. Most of the time, you need to make sure it synergizes. So let's say you don't have a robot with a built-in weapon. Let's say, for example, you have Ardent Immunity, a support robot. And let's say you only have a basic Tier 1 Level 1 Maoling pilot. As you can see here, the main pilot skill says, upon landing, Immunity repairs durability of its allies in a small radius, as well activating their defense, or aka defense points. So this is great for Beacon Rush. It helps all your teammates. So, pilot skills that would greatly synergize with that is Death Survivor. When you get to 50%, you get another ability which could basically give your teammates another set of defense points and healing. Other skills, for example, you can also use Wonder Worker, things like that. As I've said in many videos, you have to be smart with it. As of right now, when it comes to pilots, like I've said, you just always need to be consistent. That's all it is. Be smart, be consistent, save up your resources, do things the way it should be done, and not just when you want them done in a certain amount of time. You have to be patient, you have to be smart. Synergy is the #1 thing you need for pilot skills. If it does not help you, or if it will be irrelevant in certain cases, then do not use it.